Well, we knew the teams, we knew the towns, and now we know the times and dates. An exciting 2024 schedule released by the National Football League as it pertains for the 105th season in Bears history. With Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak, and welcome to our breakdown of the 2024 Bears schedule. We're brought to you by Bears VIP, the official VIP fan packages partner. Tom, before we get into this, we're going to break it down in 6-week chunks throughout the 18-week season. Overall view from 50,000 feet. How excited are you? Because I'm losing my mind already.
Me too. I'm thrilled with the anticipation of what could possibly happen in the future for the Bears. For so long, you know who the opponents are, but you don't know exactly where and when. And so now you get the time to digest a little bit of schedule information, indoor games, outdoor games, turf games, hot games, cold games. And so when you take all that into account, that kind of tells you the big picture of your preparedness. And I just think that time to digest all the possibilities and the locations of the games is really fun.
Well, honestly, every season should be a goal of obviously going to the Super Bowl and winning it. So this is essentially a roadmap to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. So shall we begin? We're going to start with the opener, our first broadcast on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network, with Jason McKee on the sidelines, and you to my side. We'll be calling it at Soldier Field against the Tennessee Titans. That'll kick off a 6-week stretch, and it's an AFC South heavy to start. But let's focus on that first game. Soldier Field, Tom, is going to be absolutely rocking and rolling with Caleb Williams coming out of that tunnel as the Bears starting quarterback, and the first rookie starting quarterback since Kyle Orton, and the only two in Bears history to start a season as a rookie.
Right. It's going to be super exciting for the Bears fans, and they're going to get a glimpse of their future. You know, when you think of not only Caleb, you think of Roma Dunze and the other parts they brought in to work the field for Chicago offensively, defensively, and now an exciting special teams portion is back in the game. You're talking about a first-time starting quarterback in the regular season against a first-time head coach. And, you know, you look at those two dynamics, and there's a lot of interest that is going to lead up throughout the course of training camp of the efficiency of Caleb's reps that he gets against a little bit of uncertainty and unknown about the team you're playing.
Yeah, I've been looking at the offensive coordinators throughout this whole process, the head coaches, and I counted up 11, including Brian Callahan, the head coach in Tennessee, 11 from the McVay-Shanahan tree, including everyone in our division. So there's prominence. That'll happen in Houston. That'll happen with the Rams in this first 6-week block. The Carolina Panthers have a new head coach, and then you go off to London to take down the Jacksonville Jaguars. So AFC South heavy, couple NFC games, and then to finish that Week 6 block at Jacksonville and the long trip there to take on Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Very interesting to look at how the NFL did this for some teams, including the Bears, where you shove all the NFC North teams down later in this. So you kind of really have to do some damage early on.
Well, you know, the thing about the Bears, I think coming out of training camp, they got to be game ready week 1. Because last year, I was thinking, wow, this is a great way to get this season underway, one of the biggest rivalries in the history of the league. But now you have a chance to invite a new quarterback and some new players into the Bears system at Soldier Field. And you know, you got to start out hot. And I'm not only talking about the Tennessee game, I'm talking about all those games that you just mentioned, because in that whole list of games, and then that London trip against Jacksonville, it really puts a weird dynamic to the season when you're talking about, you know, you got to get these rookies that are an important part of your roster, but they're going to have, you know, you play home games, you play some, you know, big away games. Luckily, other than the Houston game, it's going to be close. But I think anytime you load up an NFL team to go to London, there's a lot of not only fanfare because the Bears are so well represented when they go to London that you're going to know a little bit about your team when you get on the plane for that trip.
Yeah, the Sunday Night Football game, Week 2 in Houston, against one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year with over 4,100 yards throwing the football. C.J. Stroud, primetime. They've got a lot of primetime games. They surprised a lot of folks last year getting into round 2 of the playoffs with DeMeco Ryans in his first year. Certainly, that's going to be an interesting matchup, and I'm not just looking at the offensive side because Will Anderson now with a old Bears killer, Danielle Hunter now a member of the Houston Texans. So stopping that defense will also be key in prime time.
Right, and you got two head coaches that are predominantly instrumental in their defensive style of football and the way they play. So it is going to be exciting to watch the two defenses, especially the way the Bears concluded the season last year. But because of C.J. Stroud and his success last year as a rookie, I think that a lot of Bears fans are asking for that same type of rookie performance out of Caleb. So, going into that environment, I don't think it's going to be a friendly environment, but it's going to be exciting to see how our defense gets after C.J. Stroud and what DeMeco Ryans' plan is against Caleb.
Well, they got Stephon Diggs. The Bears got Keenan Allen to join DJ Moore and Roma Dunze and the others. So then the bye week, and that's big. The NFL allows that to happen, but then it gets interesting. Back-to-back roadies in the NFC with the Washington Commanders playing host. That's a return to D.C. for Caleb Williams. That'll get a lot of attention. And that Arizona Cardinals game, a 3:05 start on a Sunday before Week 10 and 11 against the Patriots, Packers, and then the Vikings on Week 12. The reason I'm bringing all this up, from Week 5 to Week 10, the Bears will not be at Soldier Field. That's like 39 days. I don't know if that matters, but it's interesting because you're going to have 3 games away from home twice in this schedule. But let's focus coming out of the bye, Washington, Arizona, New England, because I want to save. I believe, Tom, the season begins at Week 11. Now, I know that's not accurate, but in my mind, you get yourself battle-tested, you pocket some wins, you get as many as you can early because the division's one of the toughest in the NFC. How do you look at all that?
Well, they're going to be a great test to see if the Bears are road warriors by that midseason point. And they have a couple games on the road. And then you go back to Washington, the scene of the crime, where DJ Moore came out and had one of the most explosive receiving games in football last year. Arizona, you don't know what the temperature is going to be. They could open the roof, but it's going to be an indoor game. And Kyler Murray certainly is an exciting quarterback. So, the defense has to be on their toes. But, Jeff, I'm super excited about the way the season winds down. I love division games at the end of the season. I wish that the bye week was maybe week 9-ish, but if it's going to be week 7 because they play in the Hall of Fame game, they go to London, so that may be a realistic point where they can have a little bit of rest and recovery, because you talk about the division stretch down the road. It's going to happen, man. It's going to be an awesome conclusion to the season.
Well, in 2006, Bears went to the Super Bowl at a Week 7 bye. So there's some luck on there as well. Maybe
let's look at you.
It means good things. It means good things, Tom. I believe your 85 team. Did you guys have buys back then? We don't have enough time to talk about it, but I think those buys early really help a team down the end. So it's mostly division games then. Green Bay, Minnesota, at Detroit Thanksgiving, at San Francisco, and then at Minnesota. These are very tough stretches right here.
Well, you take in consideration when you play Detroit at Detroit on Thanksgiving Day in that early morning game. That's like a holiday in Detroit. And it's not Bears fans driving to Detroit anymore to celebrate. It's Detroit fans keeping their tickets, and that environment has become one of the more hostile in the NFL. But last year, the Bears went and did an incredible job and probably should have walked out of there with a win, and the stadium was as loud and as raucous. But that's a great day to play. It's a great game. Bears, Detroit, early morning game to kick that day off. But then again, the reality of traveling out to San Francisco, that's a big time game and a big time market, a marquee afternoon game. And so there's a lot going on in that couple week stretch there.
Then back to wrap it up in the final 3 weeks, Detroit, Seattle on a Thursday night, and then at Green Bay. It could be flex. Don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday, but basically, as I described it on our Fox show the other night, if you're going into an elevator with 50 people and everybody's trying to barge their elbow way they're in, that's the position the Bears could be in at that last game of the season. So again, the division it's been tough for the Bears. You just got to keep your eye on the prize, and that is you got to win your division games. You got to go at least 4-2, hopefully 5-1 to get yourself in playoff talk.
Well, again, just to recap, you got to be ready when the season starts. You got to take a couple of those games at the beginning. Then you get that London trip, and then you get a bye week. Then you get a kind of a chance to reboot some of the young guys that are heavy-duty contributors, get a chance to walk away from football for 5 or 6 days. And then you got to be inspired. You got to be sharp. You got to be ready to go for that last half of the season stretch, because that's when your fate is going to be decided.
Yep, it's going to be fun. Everybody's excited about it in this city and around the country. All Bears fans are rejoicing right now. They know the plan, and now the execution begins. That's going to wrap us up. We appreciate it. Here with Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for watching the NFL schedule release breakdown here for 2024. We'll talk to you next time. Bear down, everybody.